Matt, just a heads up when you start, I did not receive any emailed comments.
Great, thank you. And so I see Diana has joined us. It is 7:05 and I'm going to call the meeting to order. Ms. Larson, could we start with just a roll call attendance?
Sure. So I think I'll start with Matt Rogers for this meeting tonight.
Here.
Anton. Diana Anton. I think you're muted.
Present.
Thank you. Debbie Braun. Is Debbie here or no?
She's not. I think she's going to be late.
Got it. Mick Morrell.
Hello, Julie.
Hi, and Matt Mitchell.
Present.
Okay.
So 4 of the 5 commissioners are here. We're expecting Debbie to join us late. I believe she's out of state. In light of the governor's COVID-19 disaster proclamation and in consultation with people who regularly attend, I've made a decision that it's impractical or imprudent to meet in person, and so we're going to meet by Zoom this evening. Moving right down our agenda to item number 4. Are there any citizen comments?
Yes, hi there.
Ms.
Hi,
Martin.
everybody. Gabriella Martin. How are you guys doing?
Good.
I just wanted to take this opportunity to just thank you all because, as you know, I think for starting sometime in last summer, I've been engaged mostly having to do with the garden plot. So and then with the holidays and the end of the year, I wasn't able to attend some of the meetings, but I looked at the minutes. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for moving things along. I really appreciate it. I feel like we've made a little bit of progress. So I was happy to see that there are going to be a few extra plots, 3 more plots up at Ridgeville, and then at least 4 more, it sounds like, at Elks Park. So I think that's a great start. I hope, that this might be the beginning of getting some more spaces in place. And from what I saw in the minutes, Nick has gotten lots of letters from the folks at Oakton. So I think there is definitely interest. But most of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for, I guess, responding to those of us who had expressed interest and actually trying to address our request.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. Any other citizen comments? Okay. We're moving on to the approval of the December 8th, 2022 minutes. Does anybody have a motion regarding those minutes?
I move to approve the minutes from December 8th. Is that the date?
Mitchell seconds. Is there any discussion regarding the minutes?
Okay.
Right, hearing none. Julie, could we take a roll call vote, please?
Rogers.
Yes.
Anton.
I think she stepped away.
We'll come back to her. Morrell.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
And Anton.
Yes.
And Julie, I believe Debbie is joining us.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you. Debbie Braun.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you. Moving on to the bills. Brian, could you walk us through January bills?
Sure, it's a different format. In my board report, I mentioned that Jung's out of town, Jung Howard, our office manager. So Jerry and I and Jung actually put this together. You'll get the normal copy of the bills next week when Jung's back in town on Tuesday. But you have a list of the bills here. I'll go over some of the unusuals. As we go down, Auto Wares was a battery for the F-350. That's our dump truck. Bella Consulting's equity, Citgo, there's two bills. We paid one in November. It didn't make it on the November bills report, so it's on this report. It was an outstanding. Further down, Genesis, we went over on copies for the year. That's our minor fee, $59.31. Home Depot were shades for the garage art studio. They are up. Further down, Mary Lofgren's a refund. LRS, I think I explained this last week, is our last month is our new trash removal company. And Staples was office supplies. That's it.
Is there a motion regarding the bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills dated January 12th, 2023 in the amount of $19,049.69.
Mitchell seconds. Is there any discussion? Any questions? Julie, could we do a roll call vote, please?
Rogers,
Yes.
Anton,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Morel,
Yes.
Matt Mitchell. I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously, and we will move on to the approval of petty cash. Mr. Rosinski, could you walk us through that?
Sure. Amex Plumbing, we annually have to get our RPZ valve tested for the city of Evanston. So that's the fee from the plumbing company, Amex. Apple Incorporated, iPad memory, city of Evanston. We had to pay a deposit on a meter that gauges how much water we use for the ice rink. We can leave that $1,200 there, or annually, just leave it there, or pay annually to be determined. But my suggestion would be just to leave it there. Dengio's was holiday staff lunch. Had 7 or 8 of our most dedicated staff there. Dick's Sporting Goods was the end of winter clothing for the staff. Home Depot, we're in the process of renewing some tools. That was a circular saw, hammer drill, and pipe wrenches, and also the batteries for the first 2 tools I mentioned. MailChimp emails over 2,000. And Subway, we had a emergency illness in our winter camp staff, and therefore the subs didn't have lunch, so we bought them lunch from Subway. That's it.
Great. Is there a motion regarding the petty cash?
Morel moves to for the petty cash, January 12th, dated January 12th, 2023. Approval in the amount of $2,625.60.
A second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Yeah, I hope those tools are Milwaukee, Brian.
Some of them are. Home Depot. Milwaukee is a big one, and DeWalt's the other one. Marcos likes the Milwaukee.
Anybody else? All right. Julie, could we do a roll call vote, please?
Rogers,
Yes.
Anton,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Morel,
Yes.
and Mitchell.
Yes. Motion passes, and we'll move on to monthly reports. Brian, can we start with you?
Sure. As I mentioned a little earlier, Jung Hauer, our office manager, is out of town through January 15th. Due to her absence, our bills were in the spreadsheet format that Treasurer Gibbs and I compiled. We need to pass them, and we did. She'll be back on the 16th. Vacancy brochure is being printed as we speak. It's actually done. It will be posted and mailed to several job sites by IAPD in the next week or so. That's already been done. Deadline to apply is February 15th, 2023. IAPD will then interview several candidates and forward those results to you. You should be prepared to schedule your own interviews from that date forward. If all goes smoothly and you are ready to offer the position, we hope that that person could start on April 1st, 2023 at the latest. That person would then work with me for the months of April and May. My last day, as you know, is May 31st. Excuse me. The maintenance crew did a great job getting the ice rink skatable by the Christmas holiday. We actually got parts of 3 days of skating in before the weather turned warm and rainy. Based on the long-term forecast, it does not look good for much skating before late January. If we get a heavy, good cold spell. A spending plan for the near future, let's put it, not for the rest of 2023, because there's other stuff to do, but the near future, now that tax revenue is being received, we're going to put the F-250 out to bid. We'll have those results for you in the February board meeting for your review. We will also order the following budgeted items in the next 30 days, 2 AEDs to replace the ones at 908 Seward and the David Wood Fieldhouse. They're no longer being parts made for those, and their warranties are expiring. The maintenance crew will build 3 additional raised garden beds for the 908 Seward Garden. We're going to order the Gaga pit. We're going to order a Kaylee Tot lot sign, so we honor her correctly. And exit doors. We have money in the budget for exit doors. We're going to make the front entryway door priority. And then tools, which you've already saw, that's in progress. Natalie Sully is making progress on the nature-based play area, and we'll update you further down the agenda. Also on the January agenda is a discussion of hiring a cleaning service for our buildings instead of staff. The proposal will be less than $10,000 annually and in line with what we pay staff to do the same work. We will also have executive session on the agenda for annual reviews of Marcos Cruz and Marcelo. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Any commissioners have questions or comments for Brian? Brian, I saw the job posting for the ED. I think it's great. I know we got it up on the website, and IEPD has posted it kind of far and wide. So I have heard some folks that are interested, and I hope we get a great pool of candidates.
Yeah. Also, Natalie might jump in. She's posted it in various places too. Natalie, can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I sent it to we have an email list of local organizations. I sent that out today. And it's also posted on our social media pages.
Thank you, Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for Brian? All right. So moving on to Mr. Gibbs.
Hello all. Real brief report this month. We, under notable activity, we had low balances in the Chase relationship that required transferring $40,000 from the Illinois Funds investment account to the Chase operating account so that we could avoid being overdrawn. Late December, we started to receive tax receipts. We got just under $145,000 prior to December 31st. And so far in January, more has continued to roll in. On the regular monthly reports, the budget's looking good. Expenditures through the end of December were 42% of the planned total, compared to a target of 47%, meaning we're running under budget. We want to try and catch that up and expend the full budget in the months ahead now that we've got the revenues coming in. On the revenue side, our performance against the budget plan shows that we've got year-to-date $255,000. This is far below what we typically have received at this point in the year, but it's much improved over where we were last month. Again, the tax revenues are the cause. On the cash flow position, which is the measure of our spending relative to our revenues, we've expended $197,000 more than we've received in revenues. But last month, the shortfall was even greater at $282,000, So our position is improving, but a deficit does persist. Compared to the beginning of our fiscal year, our assets have increased from 1.3 million to 1.65 million, primarily because we kind of, in effect, create a little money out of thin air by passing the levy ordinance that increased our taxes receivable by $737,000. Had we not passed that ordinance, our assets would have declined to just over $900,000 since we've been using up our cash reserves to fund the daily operations. On cash and investments, none of our banking relationships are in excess of the FDIC limits, so no concerns there. Our cash and investment balances have declined since the beginning of the year from $945,000 down to $735,000, but that's an improvement from last month when they were as low as $650,000. They're higher primarily due to the receipt of property taxes in late December. On the outstanding items report, I do have a correction on there. The report looks good. There's very few items of any concern, and the office is on top of it and trying to work them. The biggest issue they run into is people are just non-responsive to the outreach to get them to explain why haven't they cashed a check yet, or did they lose it, need a reissue, that sort of thing. But Jean will work on that when she's back. The error in the report, there were two transactions that were my mistake. I misclassified them as approved, not cleared. They should have been classified as unapproved in the current month. It's the Nicor gas, excuse me, Nicor gas entry for $712.77 and the IMRF entry for $189.90. I've already corrected those, but it was after the reports were already distributed. It has a little ripple effect throughout all of the other reports, so the numbers are off a little bit on some of the other reports by the total of those two items. Everything will be self-corrected in the next month because I've got those in the right category now. That's all I've got for you, unless there's any questions or anything anyone wants to talk about.
Thank you, Jerry. Does anybody have anything for Mr. Gifts? All right. Thanks, Jerry. Natalie?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. All right. Spring summer brochure is done. It's at the printers and hopefully it will be in homes the first week of February. Thank you so much to Sarin for all of her hard work. I'll go over all the highlights in February when I can include a copy of the brochure in your packets. Cleaning services, Brian mentioned this. With our program registration returning to semi-normal numbers and COVID-19 cases on a slight incline, we believe it's imperative to employ a professional cleaning service for our facilities. We've received 3 estimates and hope to make a selection ASAP. The goal is to have the main studio deep cleaned 4 times a week, the upstairs cleaned once a week, and the field house cleaned once a month. And RPD staff will touch up the spaces in between those times. Winter break camp was a success. We ran December 27th through the 30th and January 3rd through the 6th. Josh Cavaliers was our camp director. He did a terrific job. And V. Witter, thanks so much to her for stepping in kind of an emergency situation. We had 3 counselors that worked with them and did a terrific job as well. And registration was at full capacity the second week of camp. Studio 908 winter classes and partner programs, they began January 8th and will run through March 11th. We have excellent registration this winter. Our partner programs also begin this week and registration looks good on that front as well. Garden to table registration will open in February. MISEP, Laura Downey and myself will be attending the MISEP job fair on January 21st at the Robert Crown Community Center. That's the Mayor's Youth Summer Employment Program. I do most of my summer staffing at this event, so I'm really looking forward to being there. We'll be recruiting staff for the summer camp positions and also the youth grow team. And then finally, IPRA IAPD Soaring to New Heights Conference. I'll be attending again this January 26th to the 28th. I'm especially looking forward to a workshop called Bidding 101. Who knew I'd be so excited about a bidding workshop, but I am. And then also meeting some nature-based playground designers as well in the exhibit hall. I will report back in February about my experience. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Natalie. Any commissioners have any follow-up with Natalie? Great, thank you. And moving on to the report of the Ready Committee. Let's see.
Hey there.
There. Hi, JC. How are you?
Good. How are you all doing?
Good.
Okay, I don't have a new report for you. We're still working on the same things we've been working on for a little while. To keep you updated, we are going to have to get the the basketball policy and all that up and running before the weather gets nice. So we are going to make sure that we get that done hopefully by like March, April. And we're kind of on the same timeline for the rewrites of the ordinances. With the training sessions coming up with Aisha, that's pushing back some of our meeting time. So we are hoping to get our rewrites by February, which means that Commissioner Mitchell and I will meet after February, maybe before March, and by March we can bring you all something for rewriting the ordinances. I do have a couple questions and some things I wanted to share with you that are not on the report. One of my questions is, as Aisha and I are talking about the ordinance, it had occurred to me, Pat had looked through it a little while ago, and it occurred to me that maybe it would be wise to have Aisha look through the whole ordinance and not just, these specific pieces that Pat had already flagged, that Dr. Effiam had already flagged. And then as Aisha and I were kind of looking through there, we did notice that there are things that need to be changed, and it's not so much policy sort of stuff, but one of the examples that Aisha had pointed out was that the references to people are still gendered, which is something that we're changing in the other ordinances. So that brings me to my first question of, I'm not sure what the proper way to go about asking if Aisha can go through the whole ordinance. I mean, clearly that's going to take, time and money from the Park District. I don't know what the proper procedure would be to add things to her list of things to do. Do we know?
Aisha, are you with us on the call? So I guess just off the cuff, I would say, what other projects is Aisha working on, and where are we in the allocated budget? And then what are the priorities? Those are my questions.
I can tell you where we're at in the budget.
Great.
At the January bills, we just passed $1,687.50. That puts us at $6,812 spent on the current contract. We have 12,000 or 10,000 in that contract. So,
okay. And that'll run through June.
Getting close. That's through June 30th. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I guess personally, I would be interested to hear if that's a priority for Aisha and the Ready Committee. It's also something that if we're just going through and doing gendered language, I could do that. If it's more substantive than that.
I think so the request comes because we were looking at specific portions of the ordinance that were already pulled out, but I hadn't done a full run through of the entire ordinance. So just looking I didn't even get past, I will say, the beginning sort of intro pages before I was able to identify some areas that would need to be addressed and looked at. So I would need to look through the entire ordinance to know the extent of what those recommendations would be.
Okay.
So it's dependent on what I'm working on currently is the trainings that are coming up. So that'll be a significant chunk of time. The things that we already have in process as well. I have to look back through the contract to also make sure that as far as time and what we have in process, that the capacity will be there to also add a review of the full ordinance.
So my gut then would be to hold off on reviewing the ordinance, maybe at least until we get past the trainings, and then reevaluate how much money we have left in our budget, and your other priorities.
And I also, seeing as our contract is ending in June, I think this is something we could probably, push to the next, contract.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything that's like super pertinent, but it's just something as we were going through, just to give you an example, it even has in the ordinance, there's definitions, and it essentially defines a person as either male or female. So I think there's just some of that stuff that we want to clean up a bit, so it's a little more inclusive. And then just a reminder, these things are important for the Racial Equity Committee because of the intersectionality of these different groups of marginalized people. So we just want to make sure that as a committee, we're not just looking at the racial piece, but we're looking at the other pieces of equity too. So that leads me to my second question. And I don't know if this is something that would have to be looked into. I know that currently when the ordinance gets revised, right, it's the minutes that get added on as an addendum. Is there ever an opportunity just to rewrite the whole thing? And Natalie, do you know the answer to that?
No, I was actually going to pop in and ask the same question. We don't currently have a digital copy of the ordinance.
It's just a PDF.
It's a PDF, and it was typewriter typed at some point. Sorry. So I don't know what the process is for maybe hiring someone to type up the whole ordinance again, so that when these kinds of things happen or these changes are made, that they can be easier. I don't know the process of how that works.
And I remember we talked about this in the past when we have updated the ordinance, and I've just seen it kind of professionally in different ways. Sometimes there'll be a strike through and an asterisk saying when something was changed or deleted or added. So that's a possibility. And I think, I'm trying to think what, Jerry?
I was just going to comment. I have in the files that I inherited from my predecessor copies of the ordinance that were in like little booklet form. They're like 3 inches wide and whatever. And it was explained to me that the ordinance is basically derived from a template set forth in state law. And so some of this, I kind of would caution needs to be carefully kept in alignment with the template for the ordinance that state law covers.
Okay. Yeah, so definitely we're going to have attorney review prior to passage. And I don't see that Charles is with us tonight. But we have some leeway. Natalie, that's something I'm interested in is maybe contracting someone, it's just a quick steno job. Also, there's databases of kind of municipality ordinances. One of them is Municode. That's kind of the biggest one. I'd be interested if we could get them to do it. So I can look into that as well.
Thank you. I just, as Aisha and I were talking, the changes that we're making, for anyone to find them, they have to get through the entire document. And so I think it would be pretty meaningful to have it be more accessible, if that's a possibility, right? I get that it might not.
Sure. And maybe into the next year's budget.
Right. It's clear, not, something that has to happen right away, just something that came up as we were talking.
I agree. I think that's something we should do.
A couple other things I just wanted to, I'm sorry, Natalie, do you want to add something?
No, I'm just excited that we're talking about this because it's tight.
Hey, JC, before you go on, can I just say, I just had something else on that. I'm wondering if it's also something that maybe she could train one of our staff members or, work alongside one of our staff members and kind of show them, walk them through it, who could then go through the ordinances on their own with her guidance, so we're paying her for her time to show us how to do it. And then one of our staff can take it from there. So we're not necessarily having to pay for her time, and we can use her for other spots where we need her expertise more, if that makes sense.
That does. So just so you know, Mike, that's kind of what we're doing now. So we are working from the ones that Dr. Effiam had flagged, and then the committee's rewriting them. So Aisha's job would be more just to go through and to point out where we need to have those things done. But some of that, that gender piece, that's something a staff member could easily do. So I think that'd be a wise use of Park District money, is seeing, what we really need Aisha for and what someone on staff can do.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that was an excellent question. I think part of the work with the Ready Committee is creating process for them to be able to gain these tools so that they're operating without me being present.
Right. Great. Thank you very much.
So I just wanted to share with you all some of the things that we're thinking about as we're, hoping to wrap up in the next few months. The basketball policy and the rewriting of the ordinances that we know need some work. So one of the things that we are looking to do is develop a partnership with Evanston Public Library so that they can put on display, some books or articles that we as a committee are recommending, and have that on display. I'm working on getting a contact over there. The committee is going to develop a system for gathering content for the equity page. We will probably have a Google Doc where the committee members can drop different articles and things that can be uploaded onto the equity page. So it's more of a living document that people would visit more often, rather than so far it's just been stagnant. So we'll be able to keep that fresh and moving. We also, something that we had talked about with Dr. Effiam, but we haven't quite done yet, that I think we're probably pretty close to getting ready to do, is developing more partnerships with other equity-minded institutions in Evanston. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but I know there's one organization that is just trying to pull together all the organizations that are working on equity. So I think it's time that we start making those connections. And then, I know it's January and all, and it was like that icy wind today, but hopefully summer will be here before we know it. And we need to start thinking about parade planning between, Juneteenth, the Pride, and the 4th of July parade. The committee had some ideas of how we can hopefully be, more inviting and more inclusive in what we've done so far. So those are just some things on the horizon.
Great. Thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
Any commissioners have anything further for JC or Aisha? Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate all your work. All right. We are moving on. We don't have any old business carrying over. So we're on to new business. And Mr. Rosinski is going to talk to us about hiring cleaning services. You there, Brian?
I'm sorry. Hopefully we're going to be back to full summer programming indoor and out this summer. And we're going to lose V. Witter as our cleaning person. The building, with the use it gets, needs thorough cleanings several times a week, and our staff, while it tries, it doesn't do as good a job as we'd like. Between V and our actual full-time staff, full-time maintenance crew, we do a decent job, but we like thorough cleanings with the amount of kids that are going to be in the building, we think, in the summer. So Natalie did a great job of bringing in different services and walking them through the building and talking about how many days per week and in what buildings. We think we've come to nice conclusion. We will stay under $10,000, which is easily what we pay not only V, but other staff, part-time and full-time, to clean when needed. What happens often is during summer camp, or even like right now, winter camp was extremely wet and muddy. So the staff spent about an hour and a half every morning. First thing they did was clean the building. That would be done by hopefully a staff cleaning service that we hire. We talked to 3 cleaning services, Stratus, Wilmette Maids, and Superior. And the first 2, Stratus and Wilmette Maids, are right around upper 9,000s, low 10,000s, and Superior is at 14,400 to do what we want. So basically, what we're letting you know and asking for a nod of approval is to move forward in the next month or 2 with one of these companies, and it'll be under $10,000. And then Natalie would then schedule her programs around morning cleanings, and David Wood Fieldhouse would be involved in that, and we would have a much more inviting building easily on a daily basis than having to scramble to clean. That's our plan. We hope we get a little nod of approval for you. It's no change in the budget. There's no extra money asked. And again, we'd probably start it in the next, I would say it'd take us 2 months, get a contract and their insurance, and then figure out the correct schedule for cleaning.
Great. And so, Brian, am I correct? You don't technically need anything from the board.
No, the money's there, and we're halfway through. So the money we spent would be more like 5,000 to finish the year, but that's what we would spend on V and the maintenance staff and the part-time staff as things happened anyways. It'd be actually more than that.
Great. So do any commissioners have any questions or concerns? Mick?
I have a question. Brian, do these cleaning services provide their own cleaning products and tools?
No, they would use
They don't.
mops. They would use our mops, our mop heads, things of that nature. Yes.
Okay. And we would still be buying the spray and all that type of stuff.
Correct.
Okay, so there's no cost savings there either, but it will just truly be, we're just basically breaking even on this.
Yeah, we're looking without a definite schedule. We're looking at 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. cleaning before stuff starts, before classes and
Monday through Friday, they're coming in and cleaning for like an hour.
Yeah, no, it'd be more like 4 days a week, 3 days a week, depending on what schedule we go with.
Okay. And the contract that we would enter with them, would it be like, would there be room to say there's a slow week, right? And the buildings don't get used much. Is there a way to say, okay, we don't need you this day, and have some money savings there? Or is it just kind of like we're doing every day, every week is 3 days a week, no matter what?
Well, probably not, because the nooks and crannies, I mean, this building is big, and so when they do the high traffic areas on the slow days, we'd be upstairs, conference room. There's cobwebs, there's all sorts of things that go on. Bathrooms. I would say we would have them come in on a consistent basis.
Okay, great.
Natalie's she's been waving her hands. She's done more work on this than I have. Go ahead, Natalie.
I was just going to say, one of the companies does provide their own cleaning supplies. Not they would still use like our vacuums and our mop and that kind of a thing, but they do use their own spray, and that is included in the cost. The other thing I was going to say is the way the program calendar looks these days, there's virtually absolutely no time that the building is not in high use between classes and camps. So the only break that we really take in the winter and in the summer is to accommodate the D65 kids for camp. So it's pretty busy all the time. And like Brian said, I think there's some cobwebs in some places that may have been there since 1939. So this will be great.
Not that bad.
I'm just teasing.
All right. Any other comments?
We'll keep you posted. How's that?
Right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the second order of new business. This is listed under myself. Discuss our RFP for design, procuring, installing an all-inclusive nature-based playground. I met with Natalie and Brian prior to the holidays, and we have $15,000 in the budget from last year that rolled over into this year to get a nature-based play area. You know, I think with some turnover of the commissioners, this has stalled a little bit. So I asked Natalie to put together an RFP, and she did, and it's attached in the packet. Natalie, you want to talk us through that?
Yes. So I used a few different documents that I found, a couple different RFP templates and RFPs for nature-based play from other park districts to put this together. So it basically lays out kind of the timeline of when we're hoping to receive proposals and get the work started and completed. Talks a little bit about what we're specifically looking for. The way it's laid out, this submittal and selection criteria basically says that they would send us our proposals by the date indicated. We would review them, the board would review them and discuss them, and then we would essentially put together a contract for the proposal that we select. We haven't talked a ton about the nature-based play, like our goals for that, but we do have a budget for it. So I'm hoping, and it also says this in the RFP, that what we're looking for is for people to actually come out and look at the spaces that we've designated as possibilities for the nature-based play equipment, make some recommendations to us in terms of where they feel it would sit best, design according to that space, something within our budget. And that's what the board would be able to look over and make a decision on.
That's great.
That's
Thank you, Natalie. I'm very
that's
impressed
it.
with the RFP. It's everything I was hoping for.
Were there any, and I did send this to Charles. He took a peek at it. There were a couple things he had me change some language in here, but if anybody had a chance to look over this, are there any questions or things that you feel could be more clear?
Okay. And then what, have we posted this yet?
I'm not getting any sound. I don't know if you're talking to me or not. I apologize if you are and I'm not responding to you.
So, and has this posted yet? I'm going to send it to you in the chat, Natalie.
He's wondering if it's posted yet. Has it posted?
I got the end of that. Sorry, I'm having some technical problems. Did you say posted?
Is it posted?
No, I have not posted it yet. No, I was hoping that we could talk about it tonight, and then if it looks good, we can get it out there.
That's great.
Do you know who designed and built the one like down in the city of Chicago on the north side?
Yeah, I believe I should talk to Martha Gaines about that because I know she has a little more information about that particular spot, but I'm fairly certain that a lot of it was built within the Park District organization.
They did it themselves. That's probably my guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a meeting last year with a company called Bienenstock. I was very impressed with them, and they are certainly they are certainly people that I think would probably be interested in this proposal, and it's very much in line with what they do. And they have individuals in various locations all over the country that will come out and assess and do it. Part of what they do too is that they will teach your team how to build this stuff. So if something, needs to be replaced, or if you want to add a piece, they train your staff on how to do that themselves. So it's all able to be really maintained internally. So I anticipate they will probably be interested in sending a proposal. Like I said in my report, the exhibit hall at the conference always has a ton of various playground manufacturers and designers. So I'm hoping that there will be some nature-based designers there as well.
Yeah, I do like the idea of our maintenance crew being involved in the building, just if nothing else, so they're aware of if something breaks, how to fix it, that type of stuff. And if we do in the future want to expand and put one at another one of our parks, we could hopefully do it internally, and it would be more cost effective for us that way.
For sure. And I think something else we'll figure out in this whole process is like, really what, if it turns out that $15,000 gets us lots of cool stuff, that's great. If it turns out that, it gets us some stuff and we decide that we want more, I think it'll give us a really good, solid idea of how to plan and budget that for ourselves in the future,
Well, that's great. Thank you for all your work on this, Natalie. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Natalie.
Yep.
All right. Nothing else. We will move on to the call of the commissioners. Julie, could you call us out?
Sure. Matt Rogers,
Nothing, thank you.
Diana Anton,
Agree or nothing to add?
passed, okay. Debbie Braun,
Nothing, thanks.
Mick Merle,
Nope, thank you.
and Matt Mitchell.
I just wanted to give a quick update. The election in April for 3 board seats. We had 2 candidates submit all their paperwork to get on the ballot. One is our very own Diana Anton. Another is Ms. Amanda De Palma Gable, a community member. And then I have spoken with a third gentleman, Mr. C. Sean Jones, who didn't quite get all his paperwork in, but is interested and intends to file as a write-in candidate. So it's exciting news that we would have 3 folks interested for 3 spots come April. That's it. All right, moving on. Are there any other citizen comments? Hearing none, we are going to recess into executive session for the purpose of approving executive session minutes, as well as the annual reviews of Mr. Marcos Cruz and Brian Rosinski. So the commissioners will leave the meeting, meet in a separate breakout room, do that discussion, come back, make any final motions, and then adjourn. So anybody besides the commissioner, I see Ms. Braun needs to leave, so she won't join us. Thank you, Debbie, for being here. I know you're out of state. All right, so the other 4 commissioners are going to meet in the executive session, come back, pass any final motions, and then we'll adjourn. Miss Bryan, could you join us for executive session?
I will. I think you need a motion to go to executive.
I do, but will you join us for I'd like to go over Marcos's evaluation. All right. So Mitchell moves to recess into executive session. Is there a second?
Morel second.
Thank you. And can we vote that, Julie?
Yep, Rogers,
Yes.
Anton? Diana Anton?
Yes.
Thanks. Debbie Braun still here? No. Morel
Yes.
and Mitchell.
Yes. All right. Motion carries. Thank you all. See the commissioners in executive session. So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion then. Mitchell moves to approve the May 12th, 2022, July 14th, 2022, and December 8th, 2022 executive session minutes, with the addition that Commissioner Rogers' name is spelled correctly throughout. Is there a second?
Morel seconds.
Just a quick question. Was that May 1st or May 12th that you said?
May 12th. All right. Julie, could we do a roll call vote?
Rogers,
Yes.
Anton? And Diana, you're muted still?
Abstain.
Abstain, okay. Morel?
Yes.
And Mitchell.
Yes. All right. So motion carries with the majority and one abstention. Moving on to the annual reviews of Mr. Marcos Cruz. Is there a motion regarding Mr. Cruz?
Following our discussion, Morel moves to give Marcos Cruz a 6% raise for the next fiscal year.
Mitchell seconds. Any discussion? Can we vote, Julian?
Sorry, Rogers, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, yes.
Thank you. Anton,
Yes.
Morel,
Yes.
and Mitchell.
Yes. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Moving on, is there a motion regarding Mr. Rosinski?
I'd like to make a motion to provide Mr. Rosinski with a 7% raise for the remainder of his time here. And would, yeah. That's it.
Mitchell seconds. Any discussion?
Just want to let the minutes show that we're all very appreciative of the time and the career that Mr. Rosinski has spent here with the Ridgeville Park District and the amazing work that he's done for the Park District and the community.
Thank you. I echo that, and also in executive session, Brian was very thankful of the people he'd worked with over the years and named a lot of those folks individually. I'll encourage him to do that in a public session as well. All right. Anything further? Can we do the vote, Julie?
Rogers,
Yes.
Anton,
Yes.
Morel,
Yes.
and Mitchell.
Yes. Okay. Motion carries unanimously. And if there's nothing else, Mitchell moves to adjourn.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second, Morel seconds.
Okay. To a voice vote. All those
Yes.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Good night,
all for
everybody.
playing. Appreciate you.
Good night.
Good night.